Hello, I'm Donna, and that's Gobi. This is our channel. Our channel is about transcending trauma, and so I just finished up a 100-day journey to finding self-worth. And really realizing how much feelings of lack are connected to having lived through trauma, and it was a great journey. And on the end of it, I really it solidified for me, like, sort of purpose and just my desire in life. And it's, putting good use to what I've lived through. And that's, like sharing with people and, helping overcome. And I'm still overcoming, so now these videos are going to be about overcoming the effects of CPTSD and the effects of, the imprints that are put upon us, our body, our somatic, our mind, our memories, from having lived through abuse. So today I want to talk about overcoming negative self-talk. And so first of all, I want to say too, like about the PTSD and that there is a good probability that we will never completely overcome it. It's just about how we relate to it. And I had to give myself this resolve the last few days and realize, and a part of me is like, oh, it sucks, it's so unfair, just like me and the kids had to go through Al-Anon and that when my ex-abuser, alcoholic, was a drunk, and here, we were, making the effort, but, it's about your own healing. Unfortunately, we're not responsible for other people's behaviors and other people's actions, but we are responsible for, what we do after they're inflicted upon us, and not saying we're deserving of it, like we didn't law of attraction of it. No one came here to suffer, that's bullshit. So, I realize that because I've suffered a lot of trauma in my life, all the way back to childhood, these patterns run deep. That, like to say, I think that's like kind of spiritually bypassing or disassociating or denial that, of course not wanting to connect to the pain, but just, having realization that it's there, and that it's probably always going to be there, but that I can relate to it differently, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that everyone has the range of emotions, like it's about being authentic and honest with self, like there are times I'm happy as heck, and there are times that the residue from the trauma, they come up, and it's just learning how to deal with the residue, and so, I had to let myself know, like, so at first I felt like, so I knew, I was like, I had to make resolve that, Donna, if you want to be happy in life, you are going to have to do certain things daily for self-care, and I think I talked about it in one of my 100-day videos, but that's like, moving the body. It's really great for people that have lived through trauma, especially intense exercise. It's not just about the looks. It's about shaking off those heavy emotions. Intense exercise is amazing, So, and it can be just, whatever you're capable of, even if it's just a brisk walk, I love to running, dancing your ass off is great, so, just doing something to really, work off those intense energies. So, and meditation, daily meditation and daily journaling, and many other things like, knowing that I can't overload myself with caffeine, that I have to really limit myself on things like social media, like we can't control the world, we can't control all the triggers that are out there, but we can take care of self and, like be aware of what triggers us and, love ourselves enough to keep ourselves away from those things, And so and so then I made a new relationship with that. Like at first there was a part of me, that's that inner child who's wounded, who's like, that little like that little inner child that's like, oh my God, see me, hear me, this is so unfair, like that one that's been, compartmentalized during the trauma and, didn't have a voice. And she's pretty active right now in me because she's being heard for the first time. I'm allowing her to come to the surface, and I'm allowing her to be seen in that. And so she's a little rowdy these days. But, like, so, but I have to also, have that other side of me, that loving adult that is like, has to tell my inner child, like, I see you, I hear you, I understand. Validation of self too. It's not just like suppression, like, nope, you shouldn't feel that way. It's like having that empathy for self. Like, I understand, inner child, you've been through some shit, I hear you. So she is like, why do we have to do all these things every day? It's not fair, I want to just live, I don't want to have to do these things. And I have to let her know that, it's okay that we have to, because everyone has to. Everyone has to take care of themselves every day. You're not the only one, inner child. We all do. And we're doing it because we love ourselves. We're doing it because we love ourselves. We don't have to do it. You don't have to do anything. You can do whatever you want, but you're going to get dysregulated and you're going to get upset and you're not going to feel good. So you got to do these things, I should talk to, like, one time I'll talk about it. Today's about overcoming negative thoughts, but about, like, who's inside of us. And it's inside of all of us. It doesn't mean you have multiple personality. We all have multiple personalities. We all interact differently. You interact differently with your boss than you do with your lover, with your child than you do with your brother, We all have different ways that we relate to people. But within us, there is that inner child, and really, because at, under the age of 8, that's when we're being programmed, that's where our beliefs are starting. And it's kind of effed up to think, someone without access to the prefrontal cortex, the reasoning, logical mind, is the one that's imprinting all of the beliefs, So, it's okay that it's there, but, we need to relook at these things every once in a while, And so there's the inner child, there's the inner adult, there's the inner critic, that's the one that judges self and others, who has a very loud voice when you've lived through trauma. And that inner critic is especially, that's the one that collects all of the devaluing and name calling that other people did, all the traumatic moments, and, whispers those in your head or sometimes screams them at you, So actually that is sort of about this. We're gonna talk about that inner critic, because well, funny, it all came together. I didn't mean to do that, but that is those negative voices. That's from the inner critic. And then I'm learning about the warrior inside, and that warrior that you can grow that's the one that can overcome the inner critic. Because think about it, the inner child can't overcome the inner critic. The inner critic is, I know someone told me, oh, don't underestimate the strength of a child. And I can vibe with that. I can. But I know my inner child, she's still a little fearful, She's still a little, she's just coming out now. She's just gaining her strength. So she can't really fight the inner critic that well, And so, yes, I could bring in my inner adult, my loving inner adult, but she is made up of, this inner critic and this inner child. So she's not a really great help, but I bring in the warrior. The warrior is, there's a book, She Who Runs with Wolves, I think it's called. Shout out to you, Laureen. She reminded me of that book, and it's really beautiful. It's about, like, how every woman has this savage inside of her that we don't embrace, because society, I think, and everything has, we need to be delicate and gentle, and, this savage woman, she just embraces her authenticity and her wildness, and it's not like a projecting angry, she's just in her power, she's, And that book is so weird because it came into my house when I was in my 20s. It just appeared, and my roommate was reading it, and I'm like, oh, where'd you get that book? She's like, I thought it was yours. It just came out of nowhere. And that book's kind of like been chasing me my whole life. Like I hear of it, and then I never read it. So I'm finally digging into it now. It's awesome. But so anyways, that warrior, like embracing her, she's the one that can overcome the inner critic, you know. She's the one that can protect the inner child and the loving, grown, logical adult, you know. So like embrace that warrior in you, you know, like don't be afraid to, you know, be in your power, you know, like someone called me a savage recently, and the old me probably would have been offended, but I love it. It's like, yeah, it's proof that I'm embracing my power, you know. So anyways, okay, I'm going to get into this, of course, 10 minutes long, and I haven't even done this yet, but this will be funny, and this is just some quick tips about overcoming those negative self-talk. So there's a guy called Steve Andreas. You can Google him. He's pioneer in PTSD recovery. He's got some amazing theories and amazing treatments. So this is a spin-off of his stuff. So Steve Andreas, just look up Steve Andreas PTSD. So my notes were always so sloppy. Things. Okay. So I was saying, which I already said, it was like, things stay with us, it's how we relate to them. You know, like to say that I'm going to completely overthrow the inner critic is probably not logical. And sometimes the inner critic is there for a reason, you know. It can guide you a bit, like, hey, you're being kind of lazy, get your ass to work, you know, it's okay. But, you know, when it's too loud, you know, we've got to calm it down. So, you know, the inner critic that, you know, like I had thoughts yesterday that were dark, you know, and I know my awareness is there that that's just echoes from the past. That's just residue, you know, and to not act on them and to not slide into that slope. So having awareness that they're probably always going to be there. They're probably going to come to me, you know, but learning how to deal with them. Okay, so the one thing that he would say is, where is the voice coming from? Like, pay attention to, like, where is it coming from? So, like, not digging deep into your trauma, but just like think of something negative, like, okay, you're not worthy. Donna, you're not worthy. You're not good enough. You know, like, where am I hearing that from? Is it in the back of my head or is it in the front? You know, where do I feel it in my body? Just bringing in your awareness, you know, and now we're going to move it outside of ourselves and we're going to put it as far away as we can. We're going to acknowledge that it's probably always going to be there. You know, there's always probably going to be those echoes from the past, that residue saying, Donna, you're not good enough. Donna, you're worthless. But now it's not going to be inside of me. I'm going to place it outside of me. So now, you know, they said, you know, picture it, you know, I have my own analogy. I'm going to do something with a ball. I'm going to do it on another one. Too long, but it was a good thing. I think it'll work really well. So, so we put this voice outside of ourselves. So we're not, you know, it's not so close, you know. So, you know, all of a sudden now, you know, the voice is still there, but we're externalizing it, and it's now coming from, you know, a few feet away from us. You know, it's almost just a whisper, you know. So that was one of the ways he says to do it, which I love, you know. And then, oh, I love this. Then we're going to like add like a dramatic tone, or he even says, sing to a song. So like, you know, so you hear that voice like, Donna, you're worthless. Donna, you're worthless. You know, like you aren't good enough. You'll never be good enough. You're just worthless. You know, so, okay, I still hear this voice, but now it's outside of me, and now it's like this. Donna, you're worthless. Donna, you're worthless. Donna, you're worthless. Look at how that changes it, you know? So you just sing it, and you just, like, add this ridiculous tone to it, you know? Like, anything you say, like, Donna, no one loves you, no one loves you, no one loves you. You know, you kind of can't help but to lighten it up when, you know, you have this, like, dramatic tonality to it, this kind of fun singing, you know? And then I saw him on a video today do this with someone, and I really loved this. And because words affect us so much, and sort of so he changed the structure of the word of the sentence, and he broke it down into 3 parts. And just watching the woman like instantly like, oh my God, I don't feel bad anymore, you know? And then he added the tone again to it afterwards. But he said even just breaking it down was just a relief, you know? So the woman had in her head, she had the voice saying, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. And it was CN apostrophe T. I can't do it. So he broke it down to 3 lines, you know, and he had a board he was writing on. I can not do it. And then he ended up adding an exclamation point. And he was saying about like the way you say it. Instead of I can't do it, you're breaking the can't. You know, we're going to break that from to get 2 words, can and not, you know. So then it was I can not do it. And then it's how you say it even. I can not do it. I can not do it, you know. And so like, again, it's just, you know, we're changing that tonality, you know, and we're breaking it down. So we have the I can not do it, you know. It works so amazing. So like whatever those voices in your head, maybe like think about like what is holding you back? What is bringing up pain for you? What story are you telling yourself? And just maybe, you know, make it into 1 sentence, externalize it, add the funny dramatic effect. And, you know, always break it down into like, you know, maybe even with my I'm worthless, like I'm worth less. I'm worth less. I'm worth less. You know, all right. That's it. That's my tips for overcoming negative self-talk. And that's it. The life in me honors the life in you. It truly does. Let's do this shit. Overcome this stuff. All right. Peace out. Peace out.